being 6:34 on August 6, 2019, I'm going to bring the Milton Planning Board meeting to an opening. First thing on the agenda is public comment. We have one person in the public. Do you have a comment?
Everybody.
Hi, public.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a voluntary merger, map 37, lots 61 and 64. Sir, I'm pointing Larry Brown.
Who am I?
You are going to be
Peter.
Peter.
Oh.
You're Peter today. Does that mean you can sign this voluntary merger? Let's see, it's map 37, lot 61 and 64, located on Ford Farm Road. Said lots are contiguous and are both under the ownership of Matthew and Jacqueline Monahan. Have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That one's done. Next on the agenda is the capital improvement discussion, school board, and that's A, and B, potential delay in submittal to the BOS. Bruce, we have nobody from the school board for this?
Yeah, nobody tonight. They want to come on the first meeting of September, but I did make sure that you all got their six projects. Of the 6 projects, there is an engineering design project in advance of actual construction of both the fire alarm system in both the schools and also the air handling system in the elementary school, including the design of that. That's first. And then comes the installation of the air handlers on the first floor and the second floor. And after that, you'll find that there's a project submission sheet for adding the ducting for the air handling system. So they are going to come in at your first meeting in September. And I am not going to go into too much more than this. Take your time and take a look at these at your leisure. Put them in your books. The only question that I would direct you to on this is that when I sat down with the school district officials, they did indicate to me that there is a capital reserve fund that they will use to do the actual installation or construction of the air handlers and the fire alarm systems, but that they can't use that for the engineering and design costs for those 2 projects. So they did tell me that the engineering design would be a warrant article to the voters that would impact the tax levy. It wouldn't impact the town side, but it does impact the whole tax levy. But that the actual construction or installation of these things can use one of their capital reserve funds, and that they would not be asking for a tax levy warrant. Now, if you read these carefully, you'll see that they have given it to me. They're all asking for tax levies. So I think that's a good question to ask them when they come in about why that is, and possibly with regard to the 2 trucks they want to buy. And you'll see them as you look at them. They really don't tell you whether they're going to trade in their existing trucks and get some money for it that would reduce the outlay for purchasing, and that's another good question. So the good part is that we sat down, they've done their project submissions, they just were not able to come tonight. That does lead to the second part of this, which is the potential delay in submittal to the Board of Selectmen. Your annual capital improvement program report, as per your policy document that was approved by the Board of Selectmen several years ago, is supposed to be right around September 1st, right at the end of August.
Yep.
And I'm here to tell you that we're not going to be done until, I would say, at least the middle of October and possibly the end of October. So I wanted to know if the board was willing to move or by consensus, allow me to go to the Board of Selectmen and ask for that extra time.
Well, it seems as though we don't really have much of a choice since the school takes their sweet time every year anyways, from what I understand, or what I'm seeing.
I think this is the first time they've ever put us a middle one.
They did the first year,
Yeah.
but after that, there was silence, I think for 3 years, and now, the positive note is that they are really doing their own capital improvement program, and they're passing it on to you, the planning board, so that we all get a better bird's eye view of what the tax impact is going to be from capital projects. That's one thing, but it's the public knowledge. And it's a tool to be used by the Board of Selectmen and the Budget Committee.
Anybody want to move to the consensus form of this? Do we all agree that we push this out to September and have Bruce approach the selectmen?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the
Yes.
other point is that, like Bruce said, this is an improvement. And I go to the school board meetings when I can, and they are, from conversations I have had individually, still coming up to speed, which, because they haven't been in the system, is still brand new to them.
Right.
So it's, I give them partial pass on that. The other problem is, if I were king, I would have everybody run on a January 1st to December 31st a year, because the budget committee was always dealing with the school district budget, and Bob Carrier is nodding his head, that is running 6 months off what we're doing, and everybody is doing a fire-ready aim for what their expenses are going to be. So,
Thank you. Okay, so we've done the capital improvement. That was a quick one. We're going to go on to other business, which is a rain garden. I think you have in front of you the Du Bois and King. Is that the rain garden?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is before the planning board because the design and the sizing of the rain garden has been changed, and your engineering consultant has taken a look at the new design to, one, make sure that the different design works the way it's intended, and that it can handle the stormwater infiltration as intended, and this memo says that it does.
This is on map 45, lot 76-1. And I believe that is out on 75, correct?
That's right. This is at the gas station convenience store
Yep.
at exit 17.
Question, if I may. Bruce, where is the rain garden in terms of the traveling public line of sight? Is it to the rear of the building itself?
No,
It's out in front,
no, it's to the right side toward the exit.
west.
Yep.
Yes.
West, so it is not a strong visual mud flat rising low.
No.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I don't believe you'll see it when it's finally open, if ever. And when you pull in, you just won't even see it.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions on this?
What's the significance of the difference in the size of the stone? And the depth of the... You go from 3 inches to 6 inches of 3/8 stone, and from 9 inches to 6 inches of the 3/4. Is that...
I think it's the amount of filtration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I remember, Chris Jacobs, in earlier discussion of a project at that site, said that 6 inches of gravel, the small stuff, the pea size, was equivalent to a non-pervious surface. That was the specifications of 10 years ago, but I bet you that's it.
Gives them more drainage, more filtration out. Is this something we have to
Don't you have more
approve?
drainage with the 3/4 stone than...
3/4, it works, it starts at, I think it's the heavy stuff on top of what works down to the smaller stuff for the filtration.
Yeah, the smaller the stone, the more it filters
Yeah.
as it goes.
I think it wouldn't hurt if the board approved this amendment to the plan and then this letter, and then that portion of the minutes can be added to the file.
Okay. Have a motion on this?
I make the motion, approve it.
Second?
And as the town planner stated, adding it to the
And adding
file,
it,
right?
yes.
Yes.
Adding it to the,
Second.
all those in favor?
Right.
Aye. Opposed? Moving right along tonight. What do we got for old business? She just threw that in there to screw us up, I know it.
Well, I don't know if you had some septic system designs that you wanted to pass by the board, or?
No, that was, I had already run that by
Okay.
Brian Wire, so.
I don't think either of us don't have any old business for
Okay, great. And how about some comments from the planner tonight?
I do have a couple of comments, I'm gonna try not to talk too much. I sat down with the town administrator earlier this week, and possibly late last week. And we talked about the small MS4 permit requirements by US EPA and New Hampshire DES that Milton has to do. The deadlines for doing some of the stuff was June 30th, and the first thing that someone in Milton should have done was prepare a notice of intent report that would be submitted to DES and EPA. That's being done by the town administrator right now. But we sat down and we went over the regulatory changes that are going to be required by the small MS4 general permit. And they are numerous. And I wanted to make sure you had this 4-page breakout of the 67 pages of the requirements that the federal government is putting on our small municipalities across New Hampshire. The reason why we are required to get this MS4 permit and meet all their requirements is because Milton Three Ponds and Salmon Falls River are above the threshold for things like pathogens and nitrogen loading. And so because of that, we have to do these things. I wanted to give you this 4-page breakout so you could take a look at it. We're not starting it tonight. But I've already identified about 24 places in the site plan regulations that don't meet these, and we'll have to very soon start working on the changes to the site plan regulations that are required by the MS4 permit requirements. The subdivision regulations that I'm working on for you now, and I'll bring back to you probably in about 3 meetings, will also have similar changes. And, hold on, there's one section in the zoning ordinance that is going to need changes, and that is the Article 16 Groundwater Protection Overlay District. There are many parts of that don't hold the line with these requirements. I just wanted the board to read this and see that there are things that we are going to have to change. And that is so that we'll be in compliance by the schedule that is in our notice of intent. There are schedules in that notice of intent that says that by the first year, you will have done this. By the second year, you will have done these other things, and by the 5th year, you will have done a lot of stuff. One of the things that's got to be done in the first year, I believe, is making the changes to your regulations. Another thing that has to be done, I think, either in the first or the second year, are public outreach tasks, especially about septic tanks and pumping and several other things that I'm not remembering right now. So this is it's not a kickoff, but I'm telling you, it may mess up our work schedule for the year a little bit, because this is pretty important stuff.
This is all because of the drainage that goes from here into Great Bay.
Yes.
And we're one of the further towns away, but you've got Rochester, Somersworth, all of them, Exeter, and they're all in big trouble with what they've been dumping into the bay. And we're up far enough, we haven't quite reached their magnitude yet. Was it the EPA is threatening serious fines and penalties if they don't clean it
We've
up?
already fined one town
Yeah.
for noncompliance. And we're behind the 8 ball, but at least your town administrator is really taking the bull by the horns on this and making sure that NOI goes out as quickly as possible. He's met with me and he's met with Pat. One thing that I failed to talk to him about was how bringing the GIS into knowing where all our culverts and outfalls are, and identifying them on the GIS with data that can be used as part of the requirements in the MS4 permit requirements. I said requirements twice. So please read this, and also please know that there are about 63 other pages. You know, my comment on this is that this town doesn't have enough staff to do everything that this has to do. It really doesn't. We're going to do our best.
Is the proposal that Pat has put in for the drainage down that road? Silver Street,
Silver and Dawson.
in Dawson,
Yeah.
and the drainage schematic that he submitted, is that in line with this? or-
It is. It is. It is definitely in line with the things that we are going to be asked to do. Required to do. So we'll take a look at that, and I'll bring you something in a couple of meetings.
So it is a notice of intent to take all necessary actions to be in compliance with EPA regulations as they have been changed.
Yes, but it's on a, you set your schedule. There's some templates for these.
And so you have a testable standards and compliance dates that you will agree to meet.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
One of them is that you change your regulations so that it meets these requirements. And that's in our wheelhouse.
So are you the person who is writing that so that it meets the proposed requirements? And does that require any more action on the agreement by motion of the board, or does it require a selectman action or the legislative action of the town?
Well, I understand that the town administrator will be giving a presentation on this to the Board of Selectmen. I'm not sure when the next Board of Selectmen meeting is.
19.
It is 19.
Yeah.
So that's probably when it will happen. And I will send all members of the planning board the links to this whole report so you can get a look at it. And also the mapping of the areas that fall under the MS4 in Milton. It's not all of Milton. And so the question needs to be asked, do you need to only change your regulations for those areas that are deficient? And of course, my answer is that if you're going to make these changes, you might as well make them for the whole town. You just change your regulations so that it's overarching for the whole town.
Thank you, Bruce.
Lots of work.
Yeah. And the next on the agenda is approval of minutes of July 16th. I'm going to postpone this out to the next meeting because there's only 3 members here that were at that meeting. That's not a quorum.
It's the majority of the quorum.
I thought 4, well, 7, board of 7, right?
Yeah, I mean, but if we can take any action that is legal for the board to take, then the majority of the quorum approving the minutes approves it. I think.
What do you think, Bruce?
It's up to you, Mr. Chairman.
I would like to see more of the attendees of that 16th meeting vote on these minutes. So why don't we wait till the end, till we get together?
Yeah. Is there any other business to come before the board?
You really can't? No.
Then may I speak for Mr. Haber?
You sure can.
I move to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Don't forget to put the school submission form in your binder.
Yep.